Hi, Sonia. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Daman, for having me.
Do you prefer cha or coffee?
That's a hard one. I'm going to say chai, but I love my coffee also very much. So both of them. I prefer both of them depending on different hours of the day.
That's no answer at all, but I let us try.
That is the best answer when it's the truth. I like them both. I like them both. It's hard to choose between them. They're both comforting. They're both life in different ways. How can you choose one over the other?
What's your favorite place in the whole world?
Now you're going to say again that that's no answer, but honestly, the inside of a good book. The inside of a book that makes me forget where I am is the best place in the world.
No, I love that answer. I'm not going to say that it's not an answer. Okay. So far in your life, what's something that you're really proud of?
I mean, the standard answer would, and a truthful answer would be my children, but also my resilience to bounce back from adversity, both physical and emotional. Sometimes you can find yourself really, really alone with the pain that you're going through. For instance, many, many years ago, I had a very, very bad miscarriage. You know, like they say, sometimes you're the only one who really can understand what your loss is and what you're going through. And just that I've, so far in life, thankfully, I've been able to dig myself out of extremely hurtful situations.
And is there something that you had to unlearn?
I had to unlearn, and I think it's always a work in progress, just trusting everyone on face value, that not everyone has your best interest at heart, and that it's okay to protect yourself and learn to care for yourself. It doesn't mean you're selfish or you're self-centered. It just means that the care that you show for others, you deserve to have that extended for your own heart also.
If you couldn't be a writer, what else would you be?
I wanted to be an actress. At the age of 12, I wanted to be an actress. I talk about why in my TEDx talk, and I talk about why I wasn't able to do that, and the emotional burden and regret of that I've carried for a very, very, very long time. Oh, definitely. I actually never wanted to be a writer. Writer was something I used to tell stories just for fun as a kid, but writing was not something I wanted to do really or become. I wanted to become an actress, but life took me in this direction, and it's okay. It's been okay.
How often do you write now?
Not as much as I should. Not having a routine is a good thing, because then you don't, at least I don't feel some burden that I have to sit down and have to get something done. And the bad thing is then you don't get anything done and you don't have anything to show for it. So, I mean, a lot of the writing process, I do believe takes place in your thoughts, your head, you're figuring things out. But then at the end of the day, you do have to sit down and you do have to put all those thoughts onto paper in some organized fashion to be able to call it a story. So I am writing, but in my head all the time. I'm finding it a bit challenging to sit down and actually get things on paper. But not on paper.
Inspiration?
I don't know. I'm never at a lack for stories. Things just come to me. Voices just come. They just come to me. A character's voice or a certain sentence or a scenario. At this point, I've got too many ideas and I don't know what to do. Too many voices living within my head wanting to come out, and I don't even know what to choose at this point. So, of course, there's inspiration in everyday life also, depending on what sort of an author you are, what sort of stuff you want to read. You know, you can watch the daily news and there's so many atrocities going on there, which can be, inspirational insofar that you want to get deeper into them, spread awareness. And of course, writing is not preaching or, but I like to include social justice and women's issues, men's issues, etc. in my work, in my writing, political issues. And so one can be inspired by stuff like that. But often for me, it's just, I remember one of the very first stories I wrote, Papa's Girl. I was just sitting one afternoon and all of a sudden the first sentence and this boy's voice came into my head. And the story just went on from there. So it's interesting when there's so many different voices in your head and you wonder where they're coming from. and why they're coming to you, why these voices are channeling you to express them.
So far, what's the best praise that you have gotten for your work?
Professor Nalini of Seattle University called Unmarriageable Babington Macaulay, who was a British colonizer who changed the linguistic policy of throughout empire by replacing indigenous languages with English as the official language. Professor Nalini called Unmarriageable Babington Macaulay's worst nightmare. And I think for me, that really told me that what I had set out to do with Unmarriageable was being seen and being appreciated. I had read his speech that he'd given to British Parliament in 1835, and that was actually the direct jumping board for wanting to write a post-colonial retelling of a British classic in Unmarriageable. So to have her see that and then call it his nightmare, I think definitely for me, that will always be, if not the highest praise, definitely one of the top most highest praises ever.
And you know, the flip side is you also get criticism when you put your work out there. So I want to know how you deal with criticism when it comes to your writings.
I deal with both praise and criticism in the same way. If I feel that, praise makes me very... When you're a writer, I think one of the fastest things you need to learn is to not take everyone's criticism very seriously and to not take praise that seriously either. You are not the best writer in the world. You are not the worst writer in the world. Different people, different readers, different critics have subjective opinions, different likes and dislikes, and they're bringing their history, especially readers. They're bringing their likes and dislikes to what they're reading, and you can't please everyone. I walk that tightrope balance. I hope I walk it well. I don't let praise get to my head, and I don't let criticism get to my head either. Of course, if there's something that I feel that I could have executed better, I work on that. But if there's something I think is perfectly fine, then I'm okay with that. I can live with myself. I can live with everything I've written. I'm okay with it.
If you were to be deserted on an island, which 3 books would you take with you?
I cannot answer that question. I just can't. There are just too many between nonfiction, poetry, fiction, memoir, the genre. There are just too many. Even within genres, thrillers, mysteries, literary fiction. There's just too much. I love too many books. My entire house is just one big book and books and books and books, and I would not. I have books from my childhood, from 12 years onwards, which I hug close to me. They're my, all these things that books. Every book is so precious to me. That is for me, that's an impossible question. It's the same as asking me which child would you rescue. It really is. Which child would you, choose to save or rescue? It's not a question I can answer. I hope to God I'm never in that situation where I'm on a deserted island, for God's sake.
If you were to pick one interesting life experience to share, what would you tell today?
For me, a really interesting and full circle experience has been being invited to deliver the keynote welcoming address to American citizens in the very same building and room in which I became an American citizen myself. I actually chose to become an American citizen when I was yelled at to get out of this country, and that people like me and my children were not welcome here. And I had to sit down and I had to decide what it means to live in a country, belong to a country. Did I want to stay on in this country? And I decided, let me become a citizen, and someone wants me to get out, but this has been my home for a long time, and let me formalize it, because you can have emotional homes, right? You can live in so many different places. You can visit as a tourist so many different places, but then you bring something back with you, a memory of a beach or a memory of, a nice meal or someone being kind to you from that country. And that becomes an emotional home in a way. But a passport or citizenship just formalizes that emotionality in some respect. But for me, I think when I was invited to then deliver the keynote speech, welcoming 150 people to the US, handing out their citizenship certificate to them, literally welcoming them into the country, saying, welcome to your new home. Writing that speech was very emotional for me. And I wanted to stress in that we immigrants don't move to a country without anything. We bring our hopes and dreams, but we bring our skills, we bring our brains, we bring our hearts to this new country. We don't come empty-handed. If we're given something from a country that we move to, we also give a lot to that country. And I wanted to convey that in my speech. I think that is a very important lesson that I have learned over my lifetime. I've moved a lot when I was younger also. So, we all bring a lot of baggage when we move. But in this instance, that baggage is a good thing. It's our hopes, our hearts, our dreams, our brains, our skills, our crafts. We come full, and we share that fullness with the new homes that we make.
That's beautiful. And I hope a lot of people hear this message.